what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to show you how to make a Matlab GUI. Now, the best model for making a Matlab GUI is is to start with a script that works well, it does what you want it to do, and what else? You want to put the parameters up front in the script, which is kind of why in all the problems and stuff and code that I've been giving you, we put the parameters up front. So I'm going to start by making a new script, and this script we're going to make the xmin be -2, I guess, and the xmax be +2, and let's use 301 x points. I like to use odd numbers so that we get a point at 0. Right, so we'll just put here parameters, save. I'm going to save this as sinusoids. I'll do some secondary calculations, and we're going to say x is blend space going from xmin, xmax, and x, and then we're going to make, let's call it y0. We're going to say it's cosine of 2 times pi times x, and then we're going to call y1 the cosine of 2 times pi times x also, but we're going to add something to it. We're going to add a amplitude and add a k, I guess, inverse wavelength. Let's have some visualization, and we'll plot plot x, and we're going to plot y0, y1, putting them together. Oh, and I'm going to get an error because a is undefined, so a should be, we'll start it off as 1 right now, and we'll start k off as 1 also. So we've got that, and I like to thicken the line. I also like to turn the grid on and do a little formatting, get current axes, font name, I really like Times for whatever reason. It's better than the default that I get. And then font size, we'll make it 20 for now. Okay, so then I run this just to make sure it works. Happily no error. And you can start to see, okay, well, if we change the amplitude, let's make amplitude 1.5, run it again. Yeah, so there's a reference sinusoid and my own sinusoid, so we need to put in a legend. And we're going to say, okay, the first one is y0, the second one is y1, and I'm going to give us a handle to this so that we can set the legend interpreter to LaTeX. Run that again, see that we get a nice legend, but I got an error instead. Why? Interpreter. Maybe that'll fix it. Yes, and there's the nice legend. Okay, so that's enough to get us started on a GUI. Oh, but I need to go slap my hands with a ruler later because I didn't put in any labels. So let's put the X label and X for now. I'm not sure what I want the units to be yet. And we'll just say Y label Y, because why not? Running it again. Oh, and what did I forget? I forgot interpreter LaTeX. That's why my labels didn't work out so well. Okay, so there's that. And then the next thing I'm going to do, this is enough for us to make a GUI. So To make a GUI, what I do in the command line is I type guide, so GUIDE for Graphical User Interface Development Environment. I get a dialog box like this, and I'm going to hit Create New GUI. Blank GUI is what I want. And so I get something like this. I'm going to bring out an axes object. So these are all the different controls you can bring out on the side. There's axes, buttons, and sliders. It's hard for me to see what's what right now. That second axis was a mistake, so I'm going to grab the first axis and make it bigger. And in order for us to reference this axis later, we have to give it a name that we can recognize. And in the code, in the Matlab, we refer to this by its tag. So I'm going to double-click the axes object. I get this property inspector. And for right now, my property inspector looks different. I'm not sure why. Oh, okay, there it is. This is why. So I look for the tag, and I'm going to call it axes main for whatever. That's how I do it. Is I call it axes main. That's where we're going to plot things. I'm going to close this. I'm also going to bring out an edit box. So edit box, bring it out here. I'm going to double click it. We're going to call it edit A because it's going to edit our amplitude. I can even give it a tooltip string. So in the tooltip string, I'm going to type sinusoid amplitude. Okay, so now let's give it a default value of 1. I'll close that. Oh, actually, I'm going to make that bigger too. Let's make that font size 16 and the font name, just because I like it, times whatever. Okay. All right, so I'm going to save this, and we're going to give it the name sinusoid. We're going to call it sinusoid GUI, I guess. Save that. It gives now there are two files. There's a sinusoid GUI.m, and then this other thing is sinusoid GUI.fig. And in the m file, well, let me back up. Let's go back to our script, and we're going to change that to a function. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to hit Save As, and I'm going to call it sinusoid GUI engine because it's the calculation engine to whatever we're doing here. And now I'm going to change it to a function, so I'm going to type function sinusoid GUI engine. It has to have the name that we gave it in the file. And I type handles because handles is the way by which we're going to interface with the GUI. So there's my function. And I'm going to copy this name right here. And let's go back to the sinusoid GUI.m file. This is the one that Matlab generated. And remember that I called our edit box edit A. Well, there's this function in here. There are several functions. Here's the first one. This is the title function, the name of it. There's an opening function that executes whenever the GUI starts up. And down here at the bottom, I went to the bottom, I have an edit A callback. This function is going to be executed whenever we change the number in that edit box and hit enter. So this is that's when we want this GUI to evaluate. So I'm going to put that function in there. I'm going to save it. And we have to go back to our function. And you see here, we want it to plot in our function. So first off, we're just going to put here, we're going to say, we're going to put axes, and then it's going to be handles.axes main, because that's the name that we gave it. And then if I go back to the GUI, here's the GUI, I hit run, and I get this GUI. Let's see what happens if I put my cursor here and hit enter. So there it is. I've plotted in here. But why doesn't the y1 amplitude match the 1 there? Well, it's because the amplitude is hard-coded here. So in order to get the amplitude, I have to get it from, so I'm going to use the get function. I have to get it from handles, and what did I call that box? I called it edit A, and the property we're getting is the string. So we're getting a string, but I need to convert it to a number, so I type str to num. I save that, and then now I go back to my GUI, back to the GUI, and now if I put in 2, I get an error. Why? Oh yes, sting. Okay, let's fix that. Put in a 2. Oh look, so now my amplitude goes up 2 to -2. I can make it 0.5. Okay, so and now I'm working with x or y1 and y0 gives me the reference. So that is our very basic introduction to GUIs. We'll add more parts to this as time goes on. But for now, there's our very first GUI. Okay, thanks. That's it for today.